Hello, my name is Vince Ryan, the Harris County Attorney. Today I am announcing the Harris County Attorney's Office is suing 43 manufacturers of generic drugs who have engaged in a massive price-fixing scheme. This conspiracy has cost Harris County government millions of dollars in inflated drug prices and cost overruns into the billions for the entire U.S. healthcare industry. These defendants significantly reduced competition and increased prices of at least 181 generic drugs, many by more than 1,000%. The health benefits provided by Harris County to its 38,000 employees and their dependents equals at least the $25 million we're initially claiming in this lawsuit. What kind of drugs are we talking about here? We're talking about every kind of drug that most people use every day. We're talking about drugs that make someone's health better, that keep someone's health okay, and that are necessary and needed for the health of not only the employees, but their families and those who care about them. Again, we're talking about all kinds of drugs, ones that treat seizures to all the ones that are common to our daily lives. Every kind of drug you can imagine are included in these types of drugs, which we believe these companies have artificially raised tremendously. If you look at this diagram, going from the early 1990s, all of a sudden there's a small spike when there's a conference that we think these drug companies all attended, and then a spike almost across the board on all these drugs by these defendant companies. As many of you know, patents expire on drugs as they're developed. And these spikes took place after these drugs had already passed into the phase where they're generic drugs that weren't even covered still under the original patents. One example is nystatin. It's a medication that fights infections caused by fungus. By May 2011, Talro had captured as much as a 96% of that market. Another company had about 4% of that market. All of a sudden in 2011, Talro increased its price by more than 600%, virtually overnight, 600%. They had 96% market share, this other company 4%. Guess where the other 4% company went? They raised the price exactly the same. Interesting, these price increases, in addition to new manufacturers with the same high prices, followed pharmacy conferences where all this industry would get together to both present and discuss their industry both internally and with the public generally. And then these prices just happened to spike after those conferences. Prior to 2013, the effective prices for some of these drugs were very, very stable. Once again, these drug increases took place after incidents like the conferences where these drug companies got together. We believe these 43 companies have violated laws against conspiracy, deceptive trade practices, and antitrust. We're seeking temporary and permanent injunctions to stop this scheme and the $25 million for reimbursement to Harris County, again, for its employees, their dependents. We think this lawsuit hopefully will send a message to these pharmaceutical companies that they can no longer cheat both the people of Harris County, the employees of Harris County, and their families. With me today are Peggy Block, who is our lead attorney in our office on this matter, and Joanne Sakala, who is our lead attorney from outside counsel, which is helping us with this very, very important lawsuit. And with that, Joanne, would you like to say anything, or Peggy?
Sure. Peggy? I'd like to get into just a little bit of the detail of the conspiracy that has led to the bringing of this lawsuit on behalf of Harris County. Harris County Attorney Vince Ryan did mention that a brand drug manufacturer who develops a new drug gets it approved by the FDA. And then they have this patent that's issued to them, granted to them for the sale of this particular drug. That patent gives them the exclusivity of that market for that drug. No one else gets to sell it, they sell it, and therefore there's no competition, and the drug price is very, very high. You have generic drugs for a really important reason, because they lower the cost of the drug. They make them affordable for people to use. And in a competitive market, what happens is once the patent has ended, then all of the generic drug manufacturers who want to get into the market for that particular drug get approval from the FDA. They go forward and they start selling these drugs. And as a result, because of the competition in a competitive market, it drives those drugs costs down. It keeps them down. Unfortunately, in our situation, what has happened in this lawsuit is there is this fair share agreement that's going forward between all of the different generic drug manufacturers, such that, look, this is my drug. You want to come into the market for the drug? Great, no problem. You're going to get a certain percentage of the share. You know, I'll give you some of our customers. Well, you can use our customers, but you'll get a certain percentage of that, but you've got to promise that you're not going to go out and you're not going to undercut our prices. You're going to stabilize those prices where we want them. And everybody's going to do that because everybody gains they benefit from the prices being high. So that's the scheme that we're talking about. It's very disheartening, to say the least, that is happening. But that is why we are filing this lawsuit. That's why Harris County Vince Ryan is out there to fight for the rights of Harris County and taxpayers. And we're going to seek justice for Harris County and make these drug companies accountable for this egregious activity.
Are there any other markets, counties, states, any places in the United States that a similar action has taken place that you all have detected in your investigation?
We're the first to file in Texas. However, there is a multi-district litigation pending in the Eastern District, I believe, of Pennsylvania, and there are various attorney generals. The Texas Attorney General, as I understand, is not involved, but there are various attorney generals involved in that particular lawsuit that's pending up in Pennsylvania, and various others around the country. But we're the first in Texas.
So there's a lot yet to be uncovered in this investigation.
Vince, you want to talk about it? We're still investigating, right?
Well, we're still in the early stages of reviewing this, investigating how this happened, what exactly happened, and what the explanation is for what happened. We think, though, the more we've looked into it, the more we've been reviewing what other states and local jurisdictions are doing, that it's unquestionable that this was a conspiracy. And conspiracy is not something that's just a couple business executives get together over coffee and discuss what their pricing techniques are going to be. This is across the board, again, a wide range of drugs by virtually every pharmaceutical manufacturer, not only just in this country, but virtually in the Western world.
What kind of penalties would they face for this type of action that act that they've committed?
Well, we're seeking monetary damages that Harris County has because of its own employees. But depending upon which jurisdiction, depending upon what the evidence finally develops, this could be everything from a criminal conspiracy, criminal activity, to being the worst kind of corporate collusion that you can imagine. But we've seen no reasonable explanation for anything. Again, you look at the chart, how does that happen? Except when you've got virtually every major manufacturer. Again, we're talking about generics. We're talking about those drugs that have already lost their protection because they've been on the market for a period of time. The whole system is really arranged so that when that happens, people can afford these very, very expensive medications. And again, those of us that are lucky enough to have good health insurance, we even face these prices at times because, again, they're generics. And often they're not covered by an insurance because, again, they're generic. So it is a constant challenge to try to even understand one's own insurance, but let alone when we see this happening across the board.
How long has this been going on that has been detected?
Well, if you look at the chart, probably about 2011 when people started becoming more and more aware of it. So arguably that's probably maybe when the conspiracy part started. 2013 forward is when the attorneys who are working with us, outside attorneys, and Joanne can speak a little bit more probably to the timeline. but it's been going on long enough that there's no excuse for it.